Let's not go that far. Yeah. I know that's
Please rise. Superior Court of the State of Washington County Kings now in session. The Honorable Jeffrey Brownsville presiding.
And good morning, folks. Please be seated.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. O'Toole. If you wouldn't mind putting the caption on the record, sir.
I don't mind at all, Your Honor. Thank you. This is the matter of the State of Washington versus Michele Anderson. The case number is 071-08717-2. Seattle. Ms. Anderson is present this morning in court with her counsel. My name is Scott O'Toole, and along with Michelle Morales, we appear on behalf of the state. Your Honor, I believe we're here for purposes of a sentencing.
All right, thank you. And let me address defense counsel. Are you ready to proceed with sentencing this morning, folks?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. O'Toole, I don't know how you want to proceed, whether you have comments from individuals you'd like to present or whether you'd like to present your recommendation first, but go right ahead, sir.
Oh, I thought what I might do, and if I could do it from the lower bench, if the court wouldn't mind.
Sure.
What I thought I might do is make the state's recommendation and then invite those who would like to speak to come forward. I'd ask them that they come around counsel's table to my right and to address the court. I think there will only be possibly 3 speakers before you today. One issue that does occur to me is, as the court may be aware, there were some pleadings that were filed on behalf of Ms. Anderson. I don't know if they were filed by Ms. Anderson on Friday of last week or by somebody acting in her direction, but they referred to Ms. Anderson as pro se. One of them was a notice of appeal, and one was a motion for personal reconnaissance, which I assume meant personal recognizance. I don't know if that's an issue that we need to address today, whether somehow Ms. Anderson is making a request to go pro se. You've not received a motion, I've not received a motion, but I want to make certain that it's out there on the record, and that if there's an objection by Ms. Anderson with us, with her being represented by counsel at this point, whether we should hear it or not. I want to let the court know.
I saw some of those materials that you're referring to. I got the impression that what she was attempting to do was to file an appeal pro se, but I don't know exactly what the intention was. So, Ms. O'Connor, can you clarify any of that for me?
Your Honor, my understanding is that she prematurely filed the appeal paperwork. We have the proper forms to proceed today. I would view the other motion that Mr. O'Toole mentioned sounds more like a post-sentencing type of proceeding that maybe we could address after the sentencing.
All right, then that's the way we'll handle it. Thank you very much for the clarification. So, Mr. O'Toole, I think we're ready to proceed with sentencing then.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, as the court is well aware, on March 4th, 2016, the defendant was convicted of 6 counts of aggravated murder in the first degree for the deaths of Wayne and Judy, Scott and Erica, and Olivia and Nathan Anderson. In addition, on each count, the defendant received a firearm enhancement of 60 months incarceration. The state would request that this court sentence the defendant on each counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or early release, and in addition to the sentencing enhancement of 60 months or 5 years on each count. We further would ask that this court would order restitution either currently or at a time to be determined. I understand that we are scheduled for a restitution hearing this afternoon, although I think Ms. O'Connor may want to raise the issue of the timing of that, and she and I had a chance to talk about that very briefly earlier today. We also would ask that the defendant be ordered to make all the typical legal financial obligations, including restitution, court costs, victim's penalty assessment, and all those other ancillary fees and costs that are associated with a criminal trial and with sentencing. We ask finally that she be ordered to have no contact for the rest of her life, either direct or indirect, with any member of the victim's families, extended or immediate members of those families, for so long as the defendant shall live. That would conclude the state's recommendation, other than, in addition, we would ask, of course, for community custody, which I think is a moot point here, merely theoretical, but it would be for a range of 24 to 36 months in the event the defendant were ever to be released from prison, which we would like to think would be unlikely. That would conclude the state's recommendation, and if the court were so inclined, I would invite those who wish to speak to address the court.
Certainly. Go right ahead, Mr. O'Toole. Thank you.
Those who would like to address the court, if you could come forward and around the table and stand next to me. Yeah, why don't we bring everybody up? You want to have it because of the well of the court? Why don't you come on forward? Come to seat. Come on over here. One forward. The first person who will address you this morning is Lynn Gombiski, Gombiski. I'd ask her to step forward, stand here next to me to address the court and to introduce herself to the court.
I'm Lynn Gombiski, Gombiski.
Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hello. I'm here to speak on behalf of some of the citizens of Carnation. Carnation is a beautiful town, named after a beautiful flower. Lots of life in Carnation. Wonderful people work there. Your mother was one of them. She delivered the mail to many, many people, and they enjoyed having her so much to deliver the mail. She also delivered you. She gave you life, the best gift you can get in your life. Your father was a great coach for little children who can't, their hearts go out for people that help children. And your brother drove my son to and from football quite often, and my son adored him and his wife. My daughter Kara talked about your brother and his wife on Monday night at dinner. What wonderful people they were, how much you took from our community, and the people that we all love them. We love our community, and you've put a little cloud over our community. Hopefully today, after today, we'll all be able to clear it up, and we'll all move on, and we'll all live happily. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
This is Kimberly Moody.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ma'am.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Judy was my coworker for 10 years and my dear friend. And you took that away from us, Michelle. It didn't need to happen. I've been there 18 years as the window clerk, and a day hasn't gone by where one of the customers would come in and say how much they missed Judy, how much she meant to them. She knew all their kids' names. She knew who was going to college next. It was very saddening over the past 8 years just waiting for justice. And she was just such a special person. So many customers have shared their special memories of Judy. And she truly cared about people. She'd be retired now. She'd be bringing us her zucchini bread and cookies every week. And you robbed us of that. It didn't need to happen. None of these lives should have been cut short. There is never, ever an excuse for murder. I'm glad that the death penalty was taken off the table because I really feel that life in prison is going to be a lot harsher of a punishment. And you do deserve to be punished. You took something away from us that was very special. And we miss her. The whole community misses her. Over the past 8 years, it's been kind of like living in a fog. And when the trial was over, I realized that I don't know how and I don't know why, but I forgive. You may not deserve to be forgiven, but you are. And I personally have just felt so much more at peace forgiving you. And I'm sorry your mom's not going to be there to mail you care packages in jail and to visit you, because I know she would have. She was that special of a person. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moody.
Now, this is Mary Victoria Anderson.
Hi, hello. Anderson, Anderson. Oh, Michelle, I want you to know that we loved you so much. You know the truth. It destroyed me. And look what you've done to your life. Do you care? What you did to our family. Your brother loved you so much. You'll have a lot of time to think about it. And I don't know, I'm done with you. It kills me. I loved you so much. So one day, I suggest you learn about our Lord Jesus. Because we all go. And I don't know where you'll go. I know where I'm going to go. And I'll be with them. So you think about it, okay? And just know they loved you. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Mine's not brief.
Now, this is Pamela Mann.
M-A-N-T-L-E.
Thank you.
There was times when I thought this day wasn't going to come because there was a lot of what I would consider nonsense that went on just to get a trial set. My daughter Erica was a hero to me because she was fearless. Erica was my oldest child and she was my friend. She was a lifelong learner. She went to college. She studied commercial baking. She was interested in the world and the people around her. Erica was a role model to Sarah and Joey. She was selfless and she put other people first. And that's pretty much how she got into this terrible tragedy that happened on Christmas Eve because Wayne wanted the grandkids with him on Christmas Eve. And Eric and Scott were the kind of people that they respected Wayne's opinion and Judy's opinion. I know that Judy had taken a lot of extra time off to prepare for Christmas Eve on that night in 2007. When Erica was small, I taught her to call 911 if there was ever a big problem, and the police and firefighters would come and help her. When you shot her, she called 911, not only to save herself, but to save her babies. Erica knew you would shoot the kids. She begged you not to, and you did it anyway, because that's how you roll. I don't think you're big and tough, Michelle. I think you're a bully and a coward, and what you did to my daughter and to Scott and Olivia and Nathan, Olivia was barely, not a toddler. And I feel like you've pretty much destroyed any respect I ever had for you. I think you've behaved like a coward, and I think so did Joseph McEnroe in conspiring to kill your family, and I can't tell you how disappointed I am. But a lot of people rose to the occasion, Ben Anderson being one, Mary Victoria, and a lot of my friends and family, the prosecutor's office, the media. They've talked about us very respectfully, and I just hope you know that when you go to Purdy, it's not going to be fun. And I want you to look in the mirror and take a look at what you did and all these lives that have been touched by this. And just think, was this really necessary? And I wanted to say that my first two grandchildren were everything to me, and you took them away from me. And there's a big hole in our life where Scott and Erica were. And Erica never deserved what you did to her, ever. She tried to be your friend. She tried to teach you how to drive a stick, if you will remember, and you got flustered and cried and whined, and she stopped. But she did continue to try and be your friend. And I just am brokenhearted. Every day I miss those 6 people. And I know our lives will never be the same. And people say, you're going to forget about it. Well, you don't, not as a mother. And I'm sure Mary Victoria feels that way also, because she's a mother. Ben's a parent now. And he's taken on Gina and her family and treats them as his own family. And it's just too bad that you had the opportunity at any moment to pick up your junk out of your house, put it in the back of that black pickup truck, and get the hell out of Dodge, and you didn't. You decided to be a brat and make everybody pay. And not only did you make your parents and Erica and Scott and Olivia and Nathan pay, but you made an entire community, and actually 3 communities, the community of Black Diamond, the community of Carnation, and the community of Snohomish. I don't think I could have gotten to this place if it hadn't been for all those people who came forward and said, we're going to help you. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
I might just check to see if there are any other...
Absolutely, go right ahead.
That would appear to be those who would like to speak address the court on behalf of the victim impact here. I will simply note that I know the court has no discretion, I would say limited discretion, but I know that you have none. I would just to echo Pam Mantle's comments. There may be no sadder statement or piece of evidence I've ever heard or you've ever heard than Erica Anderson screaming into the phone, "Not the kids, no." And I think that's a statement that will haunt everybody who's been touched by this trial. I know it's haunted us. It's affected the court. It's affected the lawyers on both sides. It's affected those who have watched the trial. And it's affected those members of the press who have been kind enough to, I think, report this case in a very fair and sensitive manner. But "not the kids, no" is unforgivable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, Ms. O'Connor, Mr. Sorensen, go right ahead.
Your Honor, I think The sentence is what it is. It's 6 counts of aggravated murder. There's really not much we can add, except that Michele Anderson is very, very remorseful and apologizes to everyone involved. With regard to the court costs, et cetera, I asked the court to waive anything except the mandatory, recognizing that restitution is going to be pretty hefty in this matter.
All right, thank you very much. And Ms. Anderson, the law requires that I address you at this point in time. You're not required to say anything at all if you don't want to. But if there's anything you'd like to tell me before we proceed with sentencing, now's the time to do it. So is there anything you'd like to say, ma'am?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Anderson.
Are we allowed to speak on behalf of the defendant?
And in what capacity?
Just to address the court and the victims, and the fact that I am a witness to the fact that she has been an honorable defendant while she's been in custody. She's not broken any rules in the 8 years and 4 months that she's been there. She has suffered the same abuse I suffered when I was there wrongfully, and I do believe that justice has not prevailed. I do believe that she is remorseful, and that should be extended to the remainder of the people who are affected by this, and I think the choice to not be able to speak is just for protecting her appellate rights, but she's not the monster the media has created. That's not who she is, and I do believe the media and many, many people, and the jury doesn't get all the information and facts, actually have skewed this, and the prosecutors actually extended it, that Ms. Mantle's pain and suffering has elongated, and I think that's been put on Michele, and I think mental illness is just not understood here.
And thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
The question was, in what capacity? I haven't heard the answer to that, so as far as I'm concerned.
As a friend, on
All
behalf
right.
of the defendant.
Thank you. Well, you've had the opportunity to make the statement, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, a witness in Mr. McEnroe's trial commented that the relationship between Michele Anderson and Joe McEnroe was a marriage made in hell, and I don't think truer words could be said. Without the synergistic effect of their relationship, both individuals would have likely remained in obscurity for their entire lives. They would have gone unnoticed and unknown, and the world would have been a better place as a result. Unfortunately, fate intervened, and these two damaged individuals with personality disorders joined forces, and a monumental tragedy ensued, and the lives of many will never be the same as a result of that. At Mr. McEnroe's sentencing, this court set aside a bench in the courtroom upon which placards and white carnations were placed. These placards and carnations symbolically represented the 6 victims in this case: Wayne Anderson, Judy Anderson, Scotty Anderson, Erica Anderson, Olivia Anderson, and Nathan Anderson. At that sentencing, I stressed how these 6 individuals were not forgotten by the court, the lawyers, or the jury. It may seem that way to outsiders as we focus on the procedures related to the trial process, but I can assure you that nothing could be further from the truth. Even though we did not know them before their tragic deaths, we all know them now, and I doubt that any of us will ever forget them. Although I did not know them in life, I think I can safely say that I know what they would want me to focus on at this point. I don't think they would want me to waste this precious opportunity addressing Ms. Anderson. The sentence I must impose on her, as you've heard, is essentially mandated by statute. And they would probably also suggest that I've already spent enough time talking to her. Instead, I think they would prefer that I speak to the secondary victims of this case, who have suffered so much hardship and grief as a result of Ms. Anderson's actions. The list of secondary victims is extremely long. It obviously includes family and friends of the victims, but it also includes all of the witnesses in this case, from the police and paramedics who were involved, to Judy's friend Linda Teeley, who unfortunately stumbled into that horrific scene while checking on the welfare of her friend. It would also include the jurors who, in fulfilling their civic duty, were thrust into the limelight and exposed to gruesome images and testimony that will forever be part of their new reality. And it would also include the courtroom participants who, in the course of upholding their oaths and doing their respective jobs confront these types of horrific situations on almost a daily basis. To all of those people, I think Wayne, Judy, Scott, Erica, Olivia, and Nathan would say thank you for enduring what had to be done in order to obtain a just verdict in this case and in Mr. McEnroe's. Nothing will bring those 6 victims back, but your efforts and commitment honor their memories. I think they would also want me to specifically acknowledge Pam Mantle, Tony Mantle, Mary Victoria Anderson, Wendy Wheat McCoy, Ken, Linda, Michael, Robert, and Julie Anderson, and Stacy and Kelsey Webb. You have all suffered tremendous losses. There are no words that are adequate to even attempt to address what you've been through. As a father, I empathize with Stacy Webb, who wrote that no one should ever have to tell a 5-year-old girl that her best friend was murdered by her aunt and her boyfriend. You're right. That should never happen, but unfortunately it did. I was astounded that Pam and Tony Mantle managed to attend the trial religiously and relive the horrifying testimony of that terrible day on multiple occasions. The fortitude it took to listen to that 911 call in which Erica pleads to spare the kids is beyond my comprehension. Yet you both managed to muster the courage and composure to attend these painful proceedings in order to see for yourself that justice was done for your loved ones. For that expression of love and support for the victims, I'm sure they'd want me to say a special thank you to you all as well. Fortunately, this lengthy chapter of your waking nightmare is almost over. I sincerely hope that when you leave here today, you will never have occasion to visit this courthouse again for reasons related to these murders. I also hope that the healing that has been delayed by this process can now begin in earnest and that happier times will prevail. In that regard, I would like to conclude my remarks by referring to the victim impact statement of Ms. Wheat McCoy. In her statement, she expressed gratitude to a myriad of individuals for the many small instances of caring, kindness, and support that were extended to her and others throughout this difficult and emotional process. Among the many individuals mentioned, she included the security staff at the courthouse entrances, the jail officers, and my courtroom staff. She concluded by stating, "We are humbled by the kindnesses extended to us by so many caring individuals." Now, although this courthouse is a court of law, what we do here is really about people, and we should never forget that. I'm proud that despite the magnitude of this tragedy, so many King County employees made the effort to make the experience slightly less painful for those involved. It's a testament to their professionalism and their humanity. When confronted by a senseless tragedy like this one, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that most people are good, caring, and kind. Thankfully, evil is the exception to that general rule, even though it demands greater attention, which also seems to magnify its presence. Ms. Wheat McCoy's comments serve to remind us all of that. So thank you very much for those comments, ma'am, and thank you all for your kind attention to my comments as well. As for the sentencing of Ms. Anderson, the result is pretty much preordained. Ms. Anderson, pursuant to your convictions, the law mandates that I impose 6 consecutive sentences of life imprisonment without the possibility of release or parole, plus a sentence of enhancement of 60 months on each count as well. I will impose the mandatory victims assessment penalty, the DNA fee. Restitution will be set at a separate proceeding which you may waive your presence at if you so desire. I will waive all other non-mandatory fees and assessments, and that will be the order of the court. Mr. O'Toole, do you need any clarification on anything?
I do not on what the court has spoken to, Your Honor. I don't know if the court has an indication of the number of days that the defendant would take credit for, or do you like the jail to complete?
I will let the jail calculate that because obviously it's a very lengthy calculation and I don't have those numbers in front of me.
I can have just a moment now.
Certainly, go right ahead.
Your Honor, it is unlikely that the defendant will have a community corrections officer at any point in the future. With that thought in mind, I don't know if the court wants to set a minimum restitution payment, a monthly payment that might be appropriate.
I think we'll leave that for later when we figure out exactly the magnitude of the restitution amount, because that hasn't been sorted out yet. And obviously, as you pointed out, Mr. O'Toole, I believe the court is required to impose 24 to 36 months community custody, even though it seems to be ephemeral at this point.
Your Honor, the defendant's total legal financial obligation exclusive of restitution is $600.
Thank
We will
you.
provide a copy of the judgment and sentence to counsel. I'm also providing a copy of the court purge rules and the fingerprint form to counsel as well.
Ineligibility, excessive firearm form. So this is If I could pass forward the proposed judgment sentence, because I have reviewed it, it does appear to comport with the judge's, the Honor's sentence. Ms. Anderson has also affixed her signature to the notice of rights on appeal as
Great.
well as the firearms notification.
Thank you. Okay, I've signed the notice of ineligibility to possess firearm or loss of the right to vote, as has Ms. Anderson, and she'll be provided a copy of that as well. I've signed the fingerprint page attesting to the fact that those are indeed Ms. Anderson's fingerprints taken in open court this morning. And counsel, I assume we'll be setting another restitution date sometime this afternoon?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So I'll just check the box indicating the date will be set, and we'll talk about that further. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
This is the notice of appeal right here. I'll show you this. There's a currency.
All right, I've reviewed the judgment and sentence. It comports with the order of the court. I've signed as well as Appendix G and Appendix H. Counsel, anything further on this matter?
Not from the state, thank you.
I have one, we're coming back at 2 o'clock then to address the restitution.
Yeah,
re-
and we'll
Okay,
figure out another date at that point in time, okay?
that makes sense, Your Honor. Thank you
Ms.
very much.
O'Connor. All right, that concludes this matter. To the family and friends of the Andersons, good luck to all of you, and I hope you are able to embark on the healing process at this point in time, with this part of your nightmare is over with. Good luck to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please rise. Would you like to copy this?
Yes, please.